Okay, so this is gonna be a tutorial on how to use the bundled GIMP plugin to annotate an image. So if you follow the instructions on setting up the plugin correctly, you should have the menu entry here under image, open annotated image. So we're just gonna look at how this works. So we go here to our database folder, and in here you're going to have these cropped and masks predicted folders, and you're going to go into cropped and just load up an image. So let's say I'm annotating this one right now. So okay, and as you can see, the plugin is going to automatically load the sclera, iris, and pupil annotations and create the image in its separate layer. So let's say I want to start with the sclera annotation, so I'm going to actually turn off the visibility of the other two. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that the sclera layer is selected. So any fixes to the sclera annotations should be done on the sclera layer. The second thing is to make sure that the used color is correct. So for the sclera, you're going to look into the instructions, and you're going to see that you should use pure green color, so 0, 255, 0 RGB. And now you can use whatever tools you're comfortable with here in GIMP. Maybe you know how to use fuzzy selection well, or magic wand well, or whatever. But yeah, if you use the brush tool, just make sure that the hardness is always set to 100% here. So this brush preset right here has that setting by default. So here I'm just gonna first use the eraser. Um, oops, to kind of delete this false sclera detection, and maybe a little bit of the edge here. Now I'm right now just gonna do the annotations approximately. Um, I'll come back and do it accurately later, but right now I just want to show you how to do it for this and the other two annotations as well. So maybe use a slightly smaller brush. And don't worry about the eyelashes here. You can just color in the sclera over them. So let's see. The sclera goes kind of like this. And you can kind of go a little into the iris here. Because of the way the layers are structured, the iris layer is actually gonna overwrite the values from the sclera layer. Now, by the way, maybe you noticed already, this green here is kind of transparent. This is because the plugin automatically sets the opacity of the layer to 10. So if you were to set it to 100, this is how it looks. So this is pure green, right? Now I'm going to go back and set it back to like a low value. This is so you can kind of see the image below while you're doing the annotations. So yeah, let's say this is the sclera done. So now I'm going to do the iris next. And again, first thing I want to do is make sure the correct layer is selected. And then I want to make sure the correct color is selected. So for the iris, that is 25500. So just pure red. And again, I'm going to first use the eraser to just fix these false detections. Maybe a little of the edge here, and then I'm going to color in the pupil. And again, I can color in the pupil along with the iris, because later on I'm gonna do the pupil layer and it's going to overwrite the values of the iris layer. So let's just say that this is kind of the iris, and I'm going to do the pupil layer now. So again, make sure the layer is selected, make sure the color is correct. So for the pupil, that's 00255, so pure blue. And again, just fix this false detection here. And okay, the pupil can sometimes be a little hard to distinguish. So in that case, just use your best judgment, your best guess. to kind of tell where the pupil is. And yeah, let's say that that's the pupil annotation. So if I turn on all the annotations again, you can see that there's kind of some missing stuff, and then the iris here is a little over, goes over the edge and so on. I'm going to come back and fix this later, and you can see the final annotation in the attached PNG file. But for now, let's say this is fine. So I'm going to go to File Save, or just press Control S. So because the plugin sets this path automatically, this should just save to the correct path, which should be in the annotations folder and the folder of your assigned person. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to export the image to a PNG. But before you do that, you need to set the layer opacities back to 100. So this is what the plugin did. It set them to 10%. So you're just going to go to each layer and set it to 100. So this is kind of what the final annotation is going to look like. So okay, I actually want to erase these little parts here as well. But yeah, this is kind of what the final annotation is going to look like. And we're going to go to File, Export, and again the path here should already be set automatically. But if it's not, just go here where you had cropped and masked predicted in your database, and you should now have a new folder called Annotations, and in here you just use the same path. So you go to the folder of your assigned person, and you just use whatever name whatever the name of the image you opened in that first step was. So I'm just going to overwrite this because I already have this existing in my folder. And here, when you're exporting, you can just use the default values for PNGs. Now make sure you don't export to a JPEG or similar lossy format, because that will cause the image to have noise in it, which will make the mask pretty much useless. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is what you're going to do for every image. So let's just go into the folder, the database folder, annotations 6, and okay. And here you're going to see you have the two files. So the first one, or this one, the XCF file, is the GIMP project, and then you have the PNG file, which is the actual annotation itself. So when you're submitting, just make sure you submit both of these for each image, so both the XCF and the PNG file.